Beyond words, our souls collide in the rhythm where dreams reside. Beyond words, we touch the sky.
Welcome to the Beyond Words Deep Dive Sessions, an inspiring exploration of the book Beyond Words by Marsha and John.
We're taking a deep dive into Beyond Words today, at least excerpts from a podcast discussing it. I'm really curious to see where this goes. What were your first impressions?
You know what struck me immediately about Beyond Words is that it goes beyond those surface-level communication tips.
Okay.
It's like they cracked open the engine of human connection and are showing us how all the parts work together.
Okay, I'm liking this engine analogy. So it's about more than just the words themselves.
Exactly. It emphasizes this idea that communication is a complex interplay of thoughts, energy, nonverbal cues, and even our intentions. Those subtle things we might not even realize we're communicating. It's about understanding the mechanics beneath the surface.
So it's like there's this whole other conversation happening beneath our words. Give me an example. How does this actually play out?
Well, they introduce this concept called the Mandel Triangle. Have you heard of this?
I haven't. Tell me more.
It highlights three core elements of powerful communication: confidence, congruence, and charisma. Now, before you think this is just another rah-rah, be more confident kind of thing,
Oh, trust me. I was about to call us out on that one.
I figured the book emphasizes that these aren't just traits you can switch on. They're outcomes, results of truly understanding the mechanics of communication.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. We've all met those people who just exude charisma, and it always feels a bit like magic. But if it's tied to the mechanics of how we communicate, that means it's something we can actually learn and develop.
That's exactly what Beyond Words suggests. They dive into how our thoughts and beliefs can actually shape our communication patterns sometimes without us even realizing it.
So you're saying there's this kind of hidden script running in the background, influencing how we interact with the world. Tell me more about that.
Well, they talk about something called the echo chamber effect, and this is where it gets really interesting. It's this idea that our initial thoughts and words in the morning can set the tone for our entire day.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see where you're going with this, like when you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and suddenly everything seems to be going wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that spilled coffee turning into a sign that the universe is out to get you beyond words. Argues it's not just bad luck, though. It's that initial negative state coloring how we perceive everything else, even subtly influencing the way we communicate with others.
So it's like we're unintentionally creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we start the day expecting the worst, we're more likely to find it and even project that negativity onto our interactions.
Right. And they even share this story about a woman named Emma. Her day is just a series of unfortunate events. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong.
I do.
And of course she's convinced it's just one of those days.
Oh, I've been there. But it sounds like Beyond Words might offer a different perspective.
Exactly. The book challenges that bad luck narrative. It suggests that Emma's initial negativity might actually be influencing how she's interpreting situations and even how she's interacting with the people around her.
That's fascinating. It really makes you wonder how much of what we perceive as reality is actually shaped by our own internal filters. So if we're essentially stuck in this echo chamber of our own making, how do we break free?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And Beyond Words suggests that a big part of the answer lies in understanding something called the reticular activating system, or RAS.
The RAS. Okay, I'm intrigued, but I need you to break that one down for me. What exactly is this RAS thing, and what does it have to do with communication?
Think of your RAS like your brain's very own personalized spam filter. It sorts through the constant barrage of information coming at you, sights, sounds, emotions, everything, and decides what actually reaches your conscious awareness.
So it's like a gatekeeper for our attention. We're only consciously aware of a fraction of what's actually happening around us.
You got it. And here's where it gets really interesting. The RAS doesn't just randomly filter information. It's directly influenced by your beliefs and expectations.
Yeah.
So if you're stuck in that negative echo chamber we were talking about, your RAS is going to prioritize information that confirms those beliefs, even if it means filtering out the positive.
Wow, that's kind of unsettling when you think about it. So even if we're trying to be more positive and communicate more effectively, our own brains could be working against us, filtering information based on old patterns and limiting beliefs.
Precisely. And that's why understanding the RAS is so crucial. Because once we're aware of this hidden filter, we can start to consciously reprogram it.
Okay, now you've got my full attention. How do we actually reprogram our RAS? Does Beyond Words offer any practical steps for doing that?
It does. And one of the simplest yet most powerful exercises they suggest is called morning assumptions.
Morning assumptions. I'm all for a good morning routine, but this is a new one. Walk me through it.
It's all about bringing awareness to those first thoughts that pop into your head as you wake up beyond words. Suggest grabbing a notebook and for 2 weeks just jot down whatever comes to mind as soon as you open your eyes. Don't try to judge those thoughts or analyze them, just observe.
Interesting. So it's not about actively trying to change those initial thoughts, it's becoming aware of what they are.
Exactly. That awareness is key
Hmm.
because once you start noticing the patterns in those morning assumptions, whether they're positive, negative, or somewhere in between, you can then start to consciously challenge and reframe them. Instead of letting those automatic thoughts dictate your day, you can choose a more empowering narrative. And when you do that consistently, you're essentially retraining your RAS to filter in information that aligns with that new narrative.
So it's like we're taking back control of the airwaves, so to speak. We're consciously choosing the messages we allow into our subconscious, which then shapes our perceptions and interactions throughout the day.
Precisely. It's a subtle shift, but it can have a profound impact on your communication patterns. Let's say, for example, you tend to wake up with this underlying anxiety about an upcoming presentation.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well.
Right. But imagine if instead of letting that anxiety spiral, you use the morning assumptions exercise to become aware of it and then consciously reframe it. You can remind yourself of past presentations that went well. Visualize yourself succeeding and focus on the positive impact you want to have on your audience.
I can see how that would shift things. You're essentially replacing that fear-based filter with one that's more confident and empowering. It's like you're priming your RAS to seek out information that reinforces those positive beliefs.
Exactly. And that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah.
Because as your RAS starts to filter in more positive and empowering information, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You start to see more opportunities for connection, you feel more confident in your communication, and you're more likely to achieve the outcomes you desire.
This is all starting to click for me. But I'm curious, does Beyond Words offer any other strategies for rewiring those mental patterns and improving our communication? I have to imagine this is a process, not just a one-and-done kind of thing.
It absolutely is. And they dive into a 6-step process for cultivating a positive morning mindset, which I think aligns beautifully with what we've been discussing about the RAS. It starts with those morning assumptions, but then they layer on other practices like gratitude, affirmations, and even visualization.
Okay, so we're talking about intentionally crafting not just our thoughts, but our entire internal state as we begin the day.
Exactly. And they emphasize that these steps aren't just about feeling good, they're about optimizing your state of being for effective communication. Because when you start your day from a place of inner strength and positivity, it naturally flows outward into your interactions.
I love that. So much of the advice we hear about communication is about the external, how to word things, how to use body language. But Beyond Words seems to be saying that true communication mastery starts from within.
Yes, and they even make this really interesting connection between our physical and mental states. There's this exercise they describe, and you're going to have to bear with me here because it might sound a little out there.
Hey, at this point, I'm ready for anything. Hit me with it.
All right. Imagine this. You're standing with your feet firmly planted, and you rotate your arm back as far as you comfortably can.
Got it.
Yep, got the visual.
Now close your eyes and visualize that same movement, but this time you're pushing past your perceived limit. Imagine that arm going just a bit further than you thought possible. Repeat that visualization a few times, really feeling that expanded range of motion. Okay, done. I can practically feel my imaginary arm doing a victory lap right now.
Great. Now open your eyes and try the physical rotation again.
Wait, I can actually rotate my arm a bit further than I could before. How is that even possible? I didn't magically become more flexible in those few seconds, did I?
You've hit on exactly the point they're making. Beyond Words highlights how our minds often can't distinguish between something we vividly imagine and reality, especially when it comes to physical and emotional states. By visualizing that expanded range of motion, we essentially removed our own mental limitations, allowing for a greater range of physical possibility. It's like our minds were putting the brakes on before, and we just released them.
That's incredible. So if our minds can influence something as physical as our flexibility, imagine the impact they must have on something as complex as a conversation.
Precisely. And that's where things get really interesting. Beyond Words takes this concept of visualization and applies it directly to communication. Let's say you have that big presentation coming up and you're feeling anxious. By vividly imagining the presentation going well, feeling that sense of confidence and connection with the audience, you're essentially priming yourself for success in real life.
So it's like we're mentally rehearsing for those important conversations, but on a deeper, almost neurological level, we're literally building those neural pathways for success before we even step into the room.
Exactly. And the more we practice this kind of visualization, the more we reinforce those positive pathways.
This is all starting to connect for me, the echo chamber effect, the RAS visualization. It all ties back to those 3 C's of the Mandel Triangle we talked about earlier: confidence, congruence, and charisma. It's not about magically becoming someone else. It's about understanding the mechanics of communication and using that knowledge to show up as our best selves, both internally and externally.
Exactly. And Beyond Words offers this really insightful quote that I think sums it up perfectly. Successful conversations are not only about what you do and how you do it, it's mainly about who you are.
Wow, that's powerful. It's about bringing our whole selves to the table, our intentions, our energy, our authentic selves, and letting those qualities shine through in our interactions. But that authenticity also requires self-awareness, right? We have to be willing to look inward and examine those hidden scripts that might be driving our communication patterns.
Absolutely. Self-awareness is key. Beyond Words really drives home that point. It's not about putting on a mask or trying to be someone we're not. It's about doing the inner work to understand our own patterns, beliefs, and habits so that we can communicate more authentically and effectively.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like when we started talking about Beyond Words, I was expecting some helpful tips and tricks, but this goes so much deeper than that.
It really does. And that's what makes it so compelling. I think it's not just about acquiring skills, it's about cultivating a deeper understanding of ourselves and how we connect with the world around us.
It's like we've been given this whole new framework for understanding not just how we communicate, but why we communicate the way we do. And with that understanding comes the power to make conscious choices about how we show up in our interactions.
It's about recognizing that we have agency. We can choose to be more intentional, more authentic, and more present in our communication.
This whole conversation has me thinking about how I approach conversations, not just as something I do, but as a reflection of who I am. It's a subtle shift in perspective, but I think it could make a world of difference.
I agree. And that's what Beyond Words ultimately invites us to do, isn't it? To approach communication as an act of self-expression, a way of sharing our unique gifts and perspectives with the world.
That's beautifully put. So for anyone listening who, like me, is feeling inspired to unlock their own communication potential, where do we even begin?
Well, I think Beyond Words provides a great roadmap. That 6-step process for cultivating a positive morning mindset is a fantastic place to start. Experiment with the morning assumptions exercise. Try incorporating more gratitude and affirmations into your routine. Even just becoming more aware of your self-talk throughout the day can make a difference.
Those are great practical takeaways, and I have to say, after that arm rotation exercise, I'm feeling pretty open to the possibilities.
Keep that open mind and remember that communication is a journey, not a destination. There's always more to learn, more to explore, and more ways to connect more deeply with ourselves and others.
Well said. This deep dive has given us so much to think about, and I'm already feeling inspired to put these concepts into practice. To everyone listening out there, if you're ready to take a deep dive into your own communication potential, I highly recommend checking out Beyond Words. It might just change the way you think about communication and maybe even yourself.
I completely agree. It's a journey worth taking.
This deep dive has been a blast. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep unlocking your full potential.
I'll look forward to it.
Thank you for listening. Give us a like and share your comments. Order the book via the link in the comments. Stay tuned for more.
Beyond words, our souls collide in the rhythm where dreams